It was the summer from hell. The kind of dry that cracked the earth and left dust hanging in the air like smoke. Our small mountain town in Northern California had been under severe drought restrictions for months. No sprinklers, no car washes, and certainly no watering lawns. Everyone was doing their part except the Ridgeview Lakes HOA. Now, I've lived at the edge of this community for over 15 years. I built my off-grid cabin on family land right before the subdivision crept in with its designer homes, perfect sidewalks, and obsessively green grass. I wasn't part of the HOA. I didn't want to be, but my water line ran from the same underground pipe system that passed beneath their development, branching off a spring-fed creek on my side of the ridge. Then, during the worst week of the drought, my tap ran dry. At first, I thought the creek had just slowed to a trickle, but after a hike upstream, I noticed something strange. The flow to my intake pipe had been diverted, literally cut and capped with a new PVC elbow, rerouting water away from my property and straight down to Ridgeview's central irrigation tank. They'd stolen my water. I confronted the HOA president, Mitch Warren, a smug guy with golf shirts and a superiority complex. His response: "You don't pay HOA dues. You're not entitled to community infrastructure." "This isn't community infrastructure," I said. "That creek's been feeding my land since my grandfather settled here in '52. He shrugged. "Should have built a well." I tried calling the county. I tried a lawyer. They all gave me the same answer. It would take months to prove water rights and get an injunction. Months I didn't have since my garden was dying, my rain barrels were empty, and I was hauling buckets from the lake just to flush a toilet. So I did what mountain folks have always done. I got creative. My land sits about 30 feet higher in elevation than Ridgeview's water tank. And I still had legal access to the natural creek farther upstream, just not the buried pipe. So I got to work. With the help of some fellow off-grid neighbors, I dug a temporary diversion channel, perfectly legal under our grandfathered land use, and used a series of gravity-fed piping, valves, and trench work to redirect the upper creek away from Ridgeview's tank and onto my own land. I even built a small hydro gate system using rocks and sandbags, ensuring I could throttle or divert flow as needed. Within 24 hours, water returned to my property. My barrels refilled. My cistern came alive. Meanwhile, Ridgeview's pumps began sputtering. Then came the brown lawns, the withered flower beds, the shocked emails in the HOA newsletter. "Water tank critically low. Please limit lawn irrigation to 15 minutes. Emergency HOA meeting Monday at 8 p.m. Mitch came knocking 2 days later, red-faced and sweating through his golf polo. "You need to return that water." "I'm not taking anything that doesn't already belong to me," I said. "But if you'd like to negotiate an easement to tap the upstream source, I'm happy to discuss water-sharing agreements." He scoffed. "We'll sue." "Great. I've got decades of water rights records, survey maps, and historic land use on my side. See you in court." They didn't sue. Turns out they'd never filed the correct permits to tap the creek in the first place. The county got involved. Fines were issued. And eventually, Ridgeview had to install a water recycling system for landscaping, paid for by a special assessment fee to the HOA members. As for me, my land's greener than ever. My fruit trees survived. I even ran a drip line to my neighbor's garden. Moral of the story? Never steal water from someone who understands gravity, property law, and revenge with a shovel.